Hello everyone, and welcome to this video. Today, instead of talking about some general big macro concept, we're going to be talking about a specific player that's very standout in his positions, which is NAF on Anubis. So looking at the HLTV top rated players this last 3 months, we can see the usual suspects with Monacy, Donk, NiKo, Bit, Wonderful appearing on this list. However, if we're zoning in specifically for the same stats on Anubis, we can see NAF being far and ahead the best player on this map across quite a large sample size of 9 maps in the top 20. This rises even higher on the T side, where he poses an impressive 174 rating. So today we're just going to be studying a bit of NAF demos and seeing what we can learn from him, a player that's playing generally quite low rated positions with the B anchor position on the CT side and the B lurk on T side. One thing that we can see generally with how NAF plays on the CT side and on the T side is that he has a very good understanding of what he needs to do for his team to ensure that they win the round. In this round, for example, we can see him starting solo B as they set up for this early heavy mid and A setup. And instead of just being completely passive like you would assume that he would be because he has to play for the retake, he's still showing a lot of early pressure, exposing that there could be more than one player on this bomb site and forcing Spirit to keep guessing about what setup Liquid are starting with. Another common theme that we will see with how NAF plays on Anubis is that he's a player that's very well known for being solid in the late round scenarios and also winning out clutches. And in the way that Liquid play on the CT and T side, NAF is in very good positions to do this, winning out important clutches for his team, such as this one. In rounds like these, once again, NAF understands that they have quite low util and also quite bad weapon on the B side. They understand that not only do they need to hold some of this util early to not have the B side be super weak late, but also likely at some point doing an aggression. And a nice reaction that NAF generally speaking does is that when he is forced to do the B main smoke, one thing that you need to understand when you do this is that there's a risk that players find themselves in this position, like Sheer is about to do, which is quite difficult for you to clear out for any late round aggression, and also quite a good position to pick off any cave player playing top area here. So a general thing that NAF does to react to this is that after this smoke, he tends to molly the right side, in this case forcing Sheer to smoke himself and give away his position. And they're also setting up this nice late round aggro in cave, him and Jekindar, where they get the kills in cave, leading to a round win. And once again we can see that after this B main smoke, he tends to molly the right side, giving his team much more space to be able to push out B main. NAF also, despite being the B player who's anchor on the B side, he's also playing it quite rotationally, being the first player to rotate out if there's a lot of pressure towards the mid or A area. And a general theme on both the CT and T side is that NAF is more supportive for Jekindar to set up for aggressions out B main with flashes or mollies, or into connector, or on the T side to take the connector area. Once again here, to hammer in the point of NAF understanding his role as the anchor of this site, is that he needs to survive when there are only 2 guys here alone and not fight to death. So in this round, as Spirit do this B pop, NAF plays in such a manner where he's able to survive and punish overstepping terrorists and also give time for his team to rotate in. And once the rotation has came in, NAF is more than willing to take these fights. Something in general that NAF is very good at, both CT and T side in his position, is to survive. He's able to survive to allow his team to play off the info that he gets, and he's able to survive to allow his team to rotate into the sites, playing in a manner where not only is he able to survive, but he's still able to get a kill if the T's overstep or if the T's are quite sloppy with the way they take their duels or the way that they're taking their fights. He's still able to get a kill here. Something that's quite a stylistic choice for each team is that sometimes when Liquid decides to use a secondary op, it's oftentimes NAF picking it up in rounds like these where he's opping on the B bomb site, or rounds like this when he's actually opping on the A bomb site despite being the B anchor. So the reason why NAF is actually doing this is that instead of sticking to his position of the B bomb site, he gives space for Ultimate, their actual primary opper, to position himself wherever he wants to take the duels that he wants to, and NAF positioning himself on the other bomb site. This is also so that if the T's don't know that you have a secondary op, you're oftentimes able to punish them by one of the oppers doing an early fight, taking an early shot or going for an aggressive duel, making the T's more likely to take dry duels into the other site where you actually have the secondary opper, or the primary opper it be, able to punish that. This is something that not every team does, or not every team does very frequently. It's quite a stylistic choice, as said. It's obviously quite costly and sets you up for pretty poor retake scenarios, but it's something that they sometimes do. And here in the final round of regulation against Vitality, we see that NAF is no longer secondary opening and he's back to his usual role on the B side, which is being a supportive element for Jekindar or Ultimate when he's here as well. being able to support with a flash, blocking the cave area here, and being able to bail out ultimate or Yekindar if this B aggression doesn't go their way. Something that we will also see when NAF goes to the T side of the map is that NAF is very good at also masking the different starts that he has, starting in different positions, using different utility early, and using them on different timings. In rounds like these, he's positioning himself closer to the cave area, being able to play more with Yekindar for any early water aggression, and also having quite a strong position if the T's opt to go B, if they've seen him play around more of the site area towards this area more, and then NAF position himself here occasionally, sometimes position himself jail as well, taking duels from this area. It's just very good ways to make the T's never feel safe about pushing the B bomb site, because they always have to fear which position NAF can be in. One thing that is worth noting with trying to copy the way NAF plays is that it doesn't necessarily suit every player. Not every player plays this area or plays the game in general like NAF does. However, he is just very, very good at doing it with the system that Liquid have. Generally speaking, NAF tends to also start quite defensive, playing from further back, as we will see soon. But he's also more than welcome to playing closer B areas when the water players are actually pressuring Con early. When these guys are pressuring this area, NAF understands that he needs to be in this area to actually be close to help out the duels. A small thing that we can also see in rounds like these is that when NAF positions us closely, he doesn't just stand still, because that allows the CTs to have the peeker's advantage when he's holding these angles, which is quite hard in CS2. So NAF actually does these like micro jiggles that we can see where he's like semi-peeking, just moving a little bit, so if anyone's trying to search him, he's not as standing still and being able to take the duel like while he's still moving. So while the water aggression is coming in, NAF finds himself more in a close position where he's actually able to get some pressure and take some duels as the Con guys are also taking pressure. But as said, generally speaking, NAF tends to play very defensive. This type of start is quite common from him, where he's playing a position where he can peek up and down from the stairs area, and then later round positioning himself either with the pack, whether that is towards B, he's playing B main and supporting towards cave so they can create the space, because that's generally where Liquid tend to go the majority, or if they're going for an A hit, finding himself in the pack with twist and ultimate towards the mid area typically. Even if they're going A sometimes, NAF finds himself in a lurking position. This is another way NAF sometimes opts to start towards B, just jump spotting it. Also a very safe way to get the info if the CTs are aggressing without a very, very small risk at the very least of him actually dying. A big thing to understand when you're playing this B area of the map, both on CT and T side, is that you need to apply pressure towards the enemy team with some form of util at some point in the round. NAF sometimes opts to not do anything early, but he has a lot of variation where sometimes he does an early top cave molly, sometimes he mollies B main, sometimes he smokes left side, and sometimes he does the lurk smoke. This is also to just, as I said, have some variation in your game and not let the enemy team feel comfortable with what you're doing. In this case, him just throwing this left side smoke, because he hasn't done it a couple rounds now, forces, or not forces, but it opts Spirit to actually rotate a third man B early because they're aware of this potential early aggression. And then NAF uses the B main smoke that the CT is throwing this round. Like we talked about, when NAF is on the CT side, the fear of the player being on this right side where he's now, because not only if the smoke is bad, like in rounds like these where you can actually take duels above the smoke, it's also just a very hard position to clear out, and you're in a very good position to not only play off the water contact, but also to find lurks and punish CTs aggressing. So in this round, as said, we can see him here being in a position where he's very close to the action, able to put a lot of pressure and eventually here find a kill onto Magics, leading to a round win in this case. Once again, in a round like this, we see NAF doing the defensive start, and like we saw on the CT side as well, he's very often supporting Yekindar, who is the primary source of aggression for Liquid on both the CT and T side. In this case, supporting Yekindar with a top cave molly, allowing this guy to take the space into cave, and setting Liquid up for a nice mid-round scenario when they've actually been able to pressure off the cave area, making the CT's life on B much, much harder. And also utilizing the smoke to cross over to the right side, where he's able to punish the CTs playing dark here with a molly from Yekindar. As already said, NAF typically, or not typically, but quite often holds his early utility, or at least some piece of his utility. He rarely uses both his smoke and his molly in the early round. And one big benefit of this is actually that if we look in a round like this, when NAF is holding this aggression from a very defensive position, when Vitality actually opts to do this B aggression, as he hears the flashes and sees the steps, here's the steps in this case here, and here's the second flash, because of him keeping his Molotov in this round, he's able to actually molly off the B main and clear out this area very safely, taking quite favorable duels if the CTs opt to stay out here. So you basically have nearly confirmed the info that the CTs rotated at third man B, but they don't get anything for it because you're forcing that area back right away. And they use this pressure to set themselves up for a late round A split finish here. And once again, NAF is rarely the first man in on hits. Sometimes obviously he is, but he's often finding himself in refrag positions where he can refrag twist, for example, when they're entering through camera in this case. And then also find these two very impactful frags onto Messi and Apex to ensure the round win. This is one of the more aggressive starts that NAF has, despite not being super aggressive. Placing himself into this corner where he's a bit more close to the action and can actually hear some more info, like having more confirmed info of the steps into players in the cave area, or be able to fight the players that are actually pushing up B main. Still playing in a way here where he's not static, he's still peeking up on timing for any potential CTs trying to jump up on this ledge area. This is also probably in this case due to him having a slightly worse weapon, but he's not taking overly aggressive risks and is creating a very strong lurking position with his B main smoke. So while we see the Liquid on the other side of the map clearing out the A bomb site, he's finding himself in this position where at this point in the round, if Vitality actually go for this, they're gonna fight heavily onto JKS here who has the A area of the map. And if that's the case, this allows his team to actually rotate back to B because he's staying in this area and is able to take the B side very fast if JKS gets confirmed info on multiple CTs pushing A. While NAF is typically alone towards the B area, they have starts when there are actually more players towards the B area able to punish any CT aggression. We can see in rounds like this when he actually has, in this case, ultimate here with him to hold the B aggression. He's able to play this nice anti-flash position where he's able to punish any CTs trying to swing out here and fight ultimate. He's able to be anti-flash and turn around and get these fights quite comfortably. And once again, we find him in these late round scenarios still being alive and is able to play as the second or third entry into this A execution. Despite having the Mac 10, he's not going first, he's going second/third even in this scenario. And again, finding some very impactful frags onto the CTs on the A sites. And in rounds like this, when he's actually closer to mid, helping twists in the early round clear this mid area, they know that there's a potential for the CTs to aggress B main in this area. And since NAF actually uses parts of his util, after the potential of the B aggression, it's quite hard for a T to just dry search it back in, so they actually opt for this nice little double peek and they're able to clear out the B area. Just getting that peek allows NAF to quite comfortably get into position like this, where he can punish any CTs pushing further, and also in a little while clear out the area. And a major thing of this type of positioning from NAF, where he's actually slightly closer and able to see confirmed information of the CTs pushing or not pushing, is that in a round like this, where Vitality are half-assing this B push, they're mauling the right side, they're flashing out. He hears Spink swing out here, running back with 38 seconds left. The CT's never getting the info of him actually allows them to set up this beautiful mid-round scenario where they're setting up for this A execution on the other side of the map, and NAF is able to clear this area back, knowing that with this late on the time, CTs are likely to overstack the A bomb sites. So he's able to allow his team to fake this A execution as he searches back into B, finding a kill on the solo defender Spinks, and with this information that he has and the positioning, the communication that he can give based on his positioning, he's basically able to solo win this round for Liquid, making it go from walking into a 4-man stack to then basically having a completely free B bomb site. As previously mentioned, NAF is not really scared of these B main duels. While he often opts for defensive starts to avoid getting picked early, he's not scared of any CTs lingering in this area of the map, because these duels are quite favorable for T if you know how to search this area, which NAF is very comfortable doing. So as the CTs are faking a B aggression in this round, NAF is not scared at all to just search back into this area and take these duels. If they're staying out here, he knows he's going to get that duel. And this allows him once again in a round like this to actually just take the space towards the B. Just keep searching in here and allowing Liquid to just rotate into a basically free bomb site. If he were to play purely passive in a round like this, where he's not actually daring to re-clear this map control, the round looks completely different. But because NAF understands the way that the risk in the round is not the CT staying out B main. The risk in the round is the CT's peeking out early and killing him if he's finding himself in an off position, when he's not anti-flash or when the CTs are multiple people fighting him at once. But if they leave the area, they're probably going to leave just one player, and he's able to take that fight very comfortably. And just as a final note of how NAF tends to play on Anubis, this is true for both the T side and the CT side, as we talked about prior, is that despite primarily playing defensive and avoiding to take too many early duels and avoiding to give the CTs chances into the round, he occasionally just decides to say, you know what, fuck it, we're taking some duels. So he's not afraid for these duels, being just able to straight up search into B here, finding an entry, and even finding the second player on the B side, because he's not scared. He knows he's fucking better than these kids. So he's not scared to take these duels, you know? Finding 2 entries on the B side like that, it's not harder. So to summarize what makes NAF so good on Anubis, both the CT and the T side primarily, is that Liquid system allows him to be a supportive element in the early round, while also oftentimes being a very set-up player in the mid rounds, finding himself to be in the pack or in hidden positions on the CT sides, where the Ts are not expecting him and he's able to multi-frag and win out clutches. He's also not very scared to switch up the playstyle, sometimes doing early nade, sometimes not doing it, having a lot of variation in his game and choosing when he's fighting and doing it on his own terms. So all in all, NAF is a very all-around capable player, and he knows how to set himself up to win the duels that he wants to take. And I think that this is showcased no better than on any map than on Anubis, where he's showing off right now being the best player in the world on this map at the moment. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you learned something. If you're a player towards the B area of the map in your team or in your pugs, might be something that you can take away as well. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next week for another video, hopefully.